Hi, everybody. My name is Ann Truger. Welcome to our IDEA webinar today. Today we have Charity Freeman from CS for Success, and we're very excited for her to go ahead and get started. I don't want to take any of your time, and I will be watching the chat to see if there's any questions I can share with you. Okay, Charity?
Sounds great to me. Thank you so much for everything. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that we are enjoying a wonderful, crisp fall day. It's been quite an adjustment when we had a nice heat wave there, and now it's all over and it is officially fall. So, for all of us who are here, I hope you are a fan of the pumpkin spice, of the nice cooler weather, of the changing leaves. Fall has officially fallen. Here we go. If you don't mind, for folks who are able to engage in the chat, please give us your name and where you're joining us from. If you are here with a specific school district, or if you are just joining us from a particular site or a city or a municipality within Illinois, please let us know who you are and where you're joining us from, just so we can kind of have an idea of who's in the room. It'll be a pleasure to meet everyone and to start to see as those responses come in. Colleen from Lake Zurich, District 95. Awesome. Glad you're here. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to start to see folks coming in here. Got a few more folks who are just joining. Good afternoon. My name is Charity Freeman. I am joining you all here from CS for Success. And I just wanted to get a sense of who's in the room. Let us know what's your name and what district or what city you are joining us from. And as we are getting ready to dive in, I'm going to drop a link in the chat for folks to be able to access the slide deck for today. So we have slides, and there you go. I will also I'm not able to pin my responses anymore. It's crazy. But yes, I have the link to the slides there. I'll be sharing throughout today just so that folks can have the opportunity to join there. Make sure it's hyperlinked. There you go. Awesome. Isabel joining us from DeKalb. I'm actually here in Aurora, so not far from DeKalb. We are part of DeKalb County. Jenny from Glenview 34, DeKalb. Awesome. Good, 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 good. Good to see everyone here. Well, I will go ahead and share my screen and we will dive on into today's conversation. Alrighty, as I mentioned, I dropped this first link here in the chat. I'll be sure to share the others as we progress through our conversation today. But it is a pleasure to be here with you today discussing artificial intelligence. So we're talking about making AI accessible specifically to our English language learners. My name is Charity Freeman, pronouns are she, her. And as I mentioned, I'm here with CS for Success. I am an independent consultant with CS for Success. I also work as the Senior Director of the Illinois Broadband Lab with the University of Illinois System. So we're like most of the folks in the room, I'm sure, I wear multiple hats. I am a former high school computer science teacher, and so I'm bringing that hat with me today as well as we engage around today's topic. Just a few things to cover, just a bit of housekeeping here. First, I have some norms. I am committed to ending on time. And so when 4:30 Central gets here, we will be ending our conversation. We do have a jam-packed schedule, so I want to make sure that we're using the most of our time together. But that also means that we have to admit that we're not going to solve all of the world's problems in an hour. But I do want to make sure that we are being fully present with one another. If you can engage, I understand that we are right at the end of folks of your school day, so you may be getting out of school building, running to pick up kids, lots of different responsibilities that folks typically have to acknowledge. You might be getting ready for after school activities with other students. Not a problem. If you can engage, awesome. I would love to hear from you all and for you to share your expertise to today's conversation. If not, sit back and observe and listen in, and that'd be great. But last thing, just want to ensure that what we say here stays here, but what we learn here leaves here. All right, for this next part, again, a bit more of audience participation. I have shared a link here. I'm sorry, I've shared there's this link, yes, to Slido, but I also have a QR code that folks can join. We're just going to get a series of questions that will give me an idea of how to best support the different roles and the student grade levels that are represented here today. And so we have three questions. One, tell us about your role in K-12 education, the grade levels that you serve, and then how comfortable you feel by using or with using or integrating AI into your role. And here is that link again. I will give folks a couple moments to join. It will say inactive for just a few moments as we ensure that everyone's able to join, but this is the information that you can use to connect with us. I will also drop this link again in the chat for anyone who wanted to engage with these slides as we progress as well. Alrighty, what is your role in K-12 education? We have a few administrators. I'd imagine that the other may also be a few teachers that are joining us in the room today. Love to hear from our current educators, folks who are actually in the 9 through 12 space and interacting with students in the classroom every single day. We have 10 responses thus far. A couple folks, a couple, maybe one or two superintendents. We have a principal, district level leaders. Good to see. Gonna give it about 5 more seconds and then we'll move on to the next item, which is for folks to let us know what grade levels do you support? What grade levels? We have 3 through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12, and of course our littlest littles. Let us know if any of the folks in the room are supporting our pre-K through second graders. As I mentioned, my expertise is with my experiences with high school students. And so, yeah, I am not at all familiar. I can play with littles all day long, but I am not equipped to teach them. And I greatly admire folks who can. Also, middle schoolers frighten me properly. I think that everyone should have a healthy sense of awareness of the grade levels that they feel strongest to support. We've got quite a few middle school folks in the room. Good to know. Cool. Last but not least, our question is how comfortable do you feel using AI in your role? The statement is I feel comfortable, and a 1 indicates I strongly disagree that I do not feel comfortable at all. Whereas the 5 would say, I strongly agree that I feel very confident, very comfortable with using AI and integrating AI into maybe day-to-day lesson plans. Maybe you use it in terms of instructional support. You may use it to provide feedback to students. Lots of different ways we can use it, but I would be curious to see. Yeah, we are almost right smack in the middle there with a 3 on average. Cool, good to know. Thank you so much for joining and participating. So our conversation for today, we'll start out with a little bit of just what is AI, where is AI, how is AI, and then we'll dive into how to utilize AI as a valuable tool to support our English language learners, as well as a bit of hands-on practice with using AI and integrating AI tools in your K-12 classroom. So first and foremost, let's see what you already know about it, right? So we have no problem. Welcome, Adriana. Thank you very much for dropping your note in the chat. Today, a lot of us, of course, are hearing a lot of things about artificial intelligence, lots of things, a lot of newspaper or news articles, not newspapers, we don't read those anymore, but news articles, lots of documentaries that have emerged in recent years, a lot of media coverage about AI and the different implications that it has in various sectors in society. Is it good? Is it bad? The good, the bad, the ugly, the unknown, right? Kind of a mix of opinions, a lot of information that's swirling about. This is a resource that I am sharing. Thank you very much for sharing the link to the slides in the chat again. But this is a resource that I've found to be helpful both in connecting with teachers, but also in utilizing this as a graphic organizer to support your students. As many questions and concerns and wonderings as we have as educators and as administrators, our students share many of those as well. And so I found that this is a great activity to utilize to support our students and their perhaps misconceptions or their ideas about what AI is and what it can offer. And so this activity is called AI Fact or Fiction. And so I'm going to read a statement and then you can type true or false in the chat. True or false, or a T or an F. First is AI is a relatively new concept. True or false? Got a couple trues. F for false, T for true. About 5 or 6 responses. All right, and the answer is dun, 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 dun. That is false. AI has actually been around for quite a few decades. It's often thought of as a new or emerging technology, but the concept of AI has actually been around since the 1950s. Early AI systems were used to perform tasks such as playing chess and solving math problems. Alrighty, our next item here, AI is already all around us. True or false? Are we waiting for it to kind of come and emerge into day-to-day technology or society, or is it already here? Lots of true statements there because we already know. True. AI has been utilized and is being utilized in many areas of our day-to-day lives, including voice assistants like Siri or Alexa. I have to be careful because I do have devices that listen in other parts of my house. But we also have the recommendations that you receive on streaming services like Netflix and YouTube. AI is very much in use everywhere. Next up, AI is inherently neutral and unbiased. True or false? AI is neutral and unbiased. True or false? Hmm. The responses aren't coming in as quickly now. We're thinking. AI is inherently neutral and unbiased. We have a solid mix of responses here, some true, some false, not much consensus. Well, the answer to that question is false. AI models actually absorb the human biases that are often quietly embedded into the mountains of data that they're being trained on. IBM actually warns about more than 11 different types of AI bias. Indeed. All right, true or false? AI will replace human jobs. This is one that we see in the news in lots of different media outlets. AI will replace human jobs. Adriana says, I hope not, right? Indeed. That actually is false. Machines perform a lot of tasks more quickly, more accurately, and in many instances more cost effectively than humans. But we see this actually in every industry that has evolved since the major industrial revolution. However, AI actually has the potential to create lots more jobs as we have there are lots of implications for folks to learn to utilize new technologies and to upskill in their respective professions. Last but not least, we have AI can create art. True or false? AI can create art. True or false? Alrighty, across the board, that is true. Today's AI systems can generate any image in any style from impressionism to pop art. All they need is a detailed prompt, right? Just to be properly engineered in that way. So yes, this is again an activity that you can utilize with your students to kind of see where their understandings of AI are. It's a pretty interactive activity and it gets folks to actually make a decision one way or the other. You have to choose true or false. Lots of engagement around that. Yay. Alrighty, so what is AI? Why AI? Artificial intelligence is the science of building, designing, and adapting computing systems that can mimic thinking or pattern recognition, decision making, etc. And it does so, and it patterns after many of the processes that humans will encounter. But unlike humans, AI technology can actually process vast amounts of data in lots and lots of different ways. A lot of these ways can include machine learning, which typically operates on the premise of if this, then that. You also have deep learning, which takes it a step further that says if this, then that, then what about X on repeat? So that actually takes that same iterative process much further. Yes, as we have mentioned, AI is all around us. Lots of examples that we can think of just off the top of our minds. Have you ever noticed that your phone's camera is a lot better than the old point and shoots that we typically utilize? That's because AI actually helps you autofocus and adjust to low light settings or to motion that is happening in the setting in which you're trying to capture the photo. If you've ever made a map on your phone and or maybe use the one of the mapping features of your phone and it actually warned you that traffic was coming in a specific area, or it gave you a different route to take, or maybe it made the suggestion of, oh, are you walking versus driving? That's because AI is actually doing a lot of the route planning and it providing real-time data updates to ensure that you arrive to your destination quickly in the most time efficient direction or in the most time efficient manner. But it's incorporated into so many different industries and it's embedded into our communities now. So, like, even when your insurance rates are calculated, or when Amazon gets your package delivered to your doorstep in a matter of hours, AI is embedded into all of our lives and into all of our students' lives, whether we or they are aware of it or not. And so that is why it is very much important for us to support our students in learning with and about artificial intelligence. Here are a few other examples of ways that we see everyday AI when we think about biometric data, using the different aspects of maybe fingerprints or your facial features. Those are examples of everyday AI in usage. We also have banking. It doesn't require individual people to actually scour all types of banking transactions. We have AI algorithms that are trained to notice different patterns that emerge in your spending habits and to actually send you a warning based on that information. All right. In the day-to-day environment, when we think about our atmosphere and weather patterns and predictions around natural disasters, AI is very useful. Of course, can't have a conversation about AI without mentioning social media. The personalized feeds that we have in each of our different social media platforms. Anytime that we're sending an email and maybe Grammarly or another spell check function helps you to craft an error-free message. When you receive an email, we utilize spam filters and antivirus software. Lots of different ways that we are observing and experiencing the impact of artificial intelligence in our day-to-day lives. So, quick question from you all. What tools are you using, or maybe what implications, what um, applications of AI maybe hadn't you thought of before? One of the ones that typically comes to my mind is the implications of AI in agriculture. Here in Illinois, we actually can combine AI technology with the use of drones to track soybean growth patterns to be able to detect when is the most ideal time to plant, to harvest, to track growth cycles to see if there are any specific interventions that we should make throughout their growth cycle to help our plants be as fertile and as productive as possible. But yeah, what are some of the maybe uses of AI that you hadn't considered before? Anything? You can feel free to unmute, or if you would like to type your response in the chat, feel free. The medical field is absolutely starting to use AI. I actually had a conversation with a radiologist not long ago that there are some things that, of course, a human is a lot better at, but when you have lots and lots of scans to review in a relatively short amount of time, especially as many medical professionals are noticing and experiencing shortages, it is really helpful to have the use of technology to detect maybe cancer or identify different diseases or diagnoses and make those diagnoses a lot faster than we would have without the use of technology, for sure. Alrighty, now as we are going to transition, yes, thank you, Katie. One of the things that is being noticed in a lot of different areas, specifically in human resources, is the use of AI as folks are navigating interviews, both in video interviews and then kind of the overall process of scanning and analyzing mountains of resumes to be able to evaluate who might be the best candidate for a position. If you receive 200 applications and 200 or maybe 183 resumes, because not everybody always follows that set of instructions. But yes, if you have lots of information to get through, it might be helpful to utilize a tool to help you parse through that information a bit more effectively. Yeah. So now we're going to transition into our conversation on AI for ELs or English language learners. Using AI to enhance student learning. This is super, super helpful as we can use AI tools and resources to effectively support our English language learners through individualized instructions. The learning objectives that you create and utilize are the same for all of your students. However, we must acknowledge that individual students can actually progress through the curriculum, through your curriculum scope and sequence at different speeds, at a different pace, based on their learning needs. And so it helps to have an approach to individualized instruction to serve students who may need to review the material that you've already covered, for students who uh, don't, well, if they don't want to actually have to cover the information that they've already mastered, they're ready to move on to the next topic. We also have students who need to learn at a slower pace or who need to immerse themselves in a particular topic until they can really start to feel good about it. But there are lots of different ways to engage our students, and AI can help us with that. A couple things that we can actually use AI to support us in language development is actually handwriting detecting, and as we're supporting students in being able to make the conversion between paper-based and digital learning, especially with our English language learners. Many of our students, of our students are born here in the United States, others come from other countries where they may not have as frequent access to devices or to learning technologies as we have here in the US. And so to be able to make the translation from the conversion from paper-based to digital learning can be a struggle, a challenge for many of our students. And so using AI to support language development in detecting handwriting is actually a very good thing that can help us to support our students in making that transition a little bit easier. We also have the use of natural language programming. I can't go through a presentation on AI without mentioning ChatGPT. But there's also Grammarly, right? We have lots of different resources available. We have Google Translate to support with language translation, but there's also speech to text and text to speech, with lots of different ways that we can provide our English language learners with access to AI education in ways that they can actually benefit. When we think about AI and its implications to computer science, I know this is a question a lot of folks will typically ask, but AI is actually only just one piece of the puzzle. But computer science education and computer science learning is actually a foundation and essential for every student as we are learning more about what it means to navigate the digital divide, where some students have access to technology and those resulting knowledge and skills, while others do not. But we want to make sure that for all of our students to be successful in the 21st century workforce, that they are equipped with the tools, with the knowledge, with the resources that they need to be successful in those areas. And so doing nothing isn't an option. Just like having access to the internet or ensuring that even that every student has a computer, maybe in a one-to-one environment. Um, when we think about the use of AI, that can actually become quite easily the next phase of a digital divide. Some students will be taught how to use AI responsibly and ethically as a natural part of their learning, while others may not even have consistent access to digital tools or digital tutors, rather, or AI tools that can support them in their learning. And so we want to make sure that our English language learners are not a part of that demographic of folks who may be left behind. We want to be intentional about including our English language learners and supporting them with the tools they need to learn with and about AI. Thinking about what that population looks like, who qualifies as an English language learner? Well, we've got a lot of ELs here in the state of Illinois. We actually rank in the fifth highest number of ELs, and according to the other states that have English language learners in them, which is all 50 of them at this point. But the state of Illinois actually 12.3% of our public school students are English language learners here in Illinois. So lots of students that we have the ability to support. And if we break those numbers down a little bit further, of the 852 public school districts here in Illinois, 77% of those districts serve English language learners. And there were almost 300,000 ELs served in the 22-23 school year. The 23-24 data has not yet been released, but this is the most recent information that we have. So we know that our English language learner population is quite significant. And when we think about which of our English language learners are actually granted access to computer science, when we think about the fact that only 54% of Illinois high schools offer computer science, only 6.2 of all of those Illinois high schoolers are enrolled in CS courses. And as we look a little bit further, while 11% of our students identify as English language learners, only 7% of our students who are enrolled, of our EL students who are enrolled in CS classes. So that identifies a bit of a discrepancy there. So we have 11% of all of our students who are English language learners, but only 7% of those students who are enrolled in CS classes are English language learners. So we want to make sure that we are increasing and building parity as we go. So this next resource that I'm going to introduce has to do with AI in the classroom. And so we think about the different topics that exist around artificial intelligence. We have this framework that was designed, the AI for K-12 guidelines, and they are organized around 5 big ideas in artificial intelligence, and they are perception, representation and reasoning, learning, natural interaction, and societal impact. And so this framework is designed to serve as a baseline, as guidelines to assist standards writers, curriculum developers, etc., on the myriad of AI topics and concepts, and also defining some of the knowledge that we deem to be essential for all students to know, and that information is organized by grade band. And so this is helpful for us to be able to get a bit more clarity around how we can best support our students. Today, I'm going to, for the purpose of this next activity, model a couple things, but I wanted to specifically point out that we'll be focusing on natural interaction. That is the principle or the big idea pertaining to intelligent agents that require many different kinds of knowledge to be able to interact naturally with humans. And so the way that this looks as we're breaking down this specific big idea around natural interaction, which means that AI requires many types of knowledge to interact naturally with humans. We see that as an example of a concept that falls under this interaction, understanding emotion is one of the ways that AI uh, interacts with humans. And so when we think about what this looks like in a K-2 setting for our littlest learners, a learning objective may be for a kindergartner, first grader, or a second grader to be able to demonstrate how computers recognize emotions in faces. That is something, as crazy as it may sound, that we can actually teach our youngest learners. The examples that we may be able to, or the enduring understanding, the way that we can guide our students to be able to navigate the path to that learning objective is by supporting students in understanding that computers recognize emotions in human faces by looking at various points of the face. So we have the shape of the mouth, we have the size and the location of the eyes, we have eyebrows, lots of different markers that are presented on the human face to be able to be recognized by a computing device and therefore make predictions about specific emotions that are related to those different markers. And so, for instance, if we have a student who is experiencing anger, their face looks a little bit different than someone who is surprised, right? And so that is inherently also an SEL moment, yay, for social and emotional learning, to be able to support our students in navigating their emotions and identifying their emotions, which is a crucial part for especially our littlest learners to be able to gain as they learn and grow. So this concept in a 6th through 8th grade classroom, however, may look a little bit different. So the learning objective may be to describe how computers use different types of cues to recognize human emotional states. And the enduring understanding that's at play here is that our students should be able to understand that computers can recognize different emotional states by, again, looking at facial expressions, but beyond just the face, there's gaze, there are specific gestures, there's overall body language, there's tone of voice, and there's word choice. There are lots of different and more involved inputs. And these are a lot more advanced because we would expect for a middle schooler to be able to grasp these concepts a bit more definitively than we would a kindergartner or a first grader. So yes, a couple of ideas for implementation around this specific concept of understanding emotion. An activity for our kindergartners and second graders might be to use a face demo or to even draw a face or to have an image of someone else's face and be able to utilize different technologies. There are lots of them available online but use a program that actually recognizes different facial landmarks. Again, the eyebrows, eyes, mouth, etc., to infer one's emotional state. And this activity can also be introduced using emojis or using different characters that students relate to and or are interested in to demonstrate different emotions. We also have lots of movies, pop culture references that would be of interest to our students to be able to support them in both in being engaged and interested in the topic at hand, but then also making a few connections to their lived experiences as well. For our 6th through 8th graders, we can have a conversation about body language, especially since there's the stereotypical moody middle schooler, right? Where body language can communicate so much, right? It can indicate to us as educators, I can tell if you're interested or engaged in a conversation, or if you're bored, if you are actively listening, or if you're disengaging and you're not really trying to hear what I'm trying to say, right? We can tell a lot of things by body language. We can witness hostility or anxiety, lots of things, lots of factors that go into understanding what that looks like. But then also how a person holds their arms, how they position their feet, whether they're leaning back or leaning in, how they tilt their head, like, maybe I'm confused. I don't think I understand so much, right? Lots of different ways. But computers very similarly as they are modeling or they're mimicking rather the natural interaction that humans often evoke, we can see that computers extract a lot of this information from webcams and the images that are derived there. So these are just a few ideas of ways that we can engage with students around in very similar ways. And so I would like to, before we move on, model what this looks like in, let me find the link and drop it in the chat. Give me just a second. I will model that. So make sure that we can follow along. Let me stop sharing for a brief moment and make sure that folks can. Do Let me update this. There we go. Alrighty, go back to sharing my screen again. And this is the link that was just shared in the chat. Everyone should have access to that. If you do not, it also appears in the slides. So this is again just the framework that I shared earlier. We have the platform for AI for K-12. This is the organization that has put together this idea here around the 5 big ideas. And so the one that I just covered is big idea number 4. And so that's on natural interaction. Intelligent agents require many kinds of knowledge to interact naturally with humans. Agents must be able to converse in human languages, recognize facial expressions and emotions, and draw upon the knowledge of culture and social conventions to infer intentions from observed behavior. Lots and lots of information there. But the most important thing that I'm going to point out here is that there is a progression chart. We love a good progression chart. And so I will zoom in to allow folks to see a little bit more clearly. But this is, as I mentioned, broken down by grade level. And so you have for, I'm going to scroll down to, here we go. Understanding emotion. Yay. So we have the example that I shared in the slides a few moments ago, where you have the learning objective, the enduring understanding of, and this essentially just breaks down what students should be able to do as the learning objective and what students should be able to know and understand as the enduring understanding. Then there is an activity. So for each of these different concepts that fall under the specific big ideas, there are also recommended activities to support with lesson planning and to ensure that, again, we're finding different ways to engage our students around these a variety of topics. And so, as I mentioned, there's one for K2, there's another here for 6 through 8, but then you also have filling in the gaps, our 3 through 5 and our 9 through 12. And so an example of what we can do with our 3rd through 5th graders, as an example for these activities, be able to use appropriate AI services to create artifacts that demonstrate sentiment analysis. There are lots and lots of amazing tools that are out here. One thing I will caution you on, because one of the number one concerns that many adults, both parents, administrators, teachers, that we all have around the use of AI is data and privacy. And so when it comes to recognizing emotions and facial recognition, anytime we are using computing software, computing devices to look at the faces of our students who happen to be minors, one thing that I always want to remind folks is that you do not have to, nor should you ever encourage students to use online platforms to capture their faces or the images of their faces. And so a couple different ways that you can navigate this is, as I mentioned, being able to use photos of celebrities. That's one thing that I typically do as we are engaging with specific activities that involve emotion recognition. Anytime we're going from interacting with each other one-on-one within a classroom setting, as opposed to now using a platform or a device to engage with, I do advocate for the use of different ways to demonstrate the lesson in a way that is meaningful for students, that is relevant, however, in doing so in a way that protects their safety and that it protects their privacy. And so another good way to do so is, as I mentioned, using images of celebrities, but also we have the ability to pull from different types of data. And so if we're looking at images specifically, we can also use online images. There are different ways that we can navigate that, but we do want to be cautious as we are using AI tools to be able to protect our students in the process. So yeah, that is definitely something that I wanted to call out. Do we have any questions before I continue?
Nothing's come up yet.
Okay, awesome. Good to know. Alrighty, the next resource that I wanted to share is not that. Here we go. This is also listed on the AI for K-12 restaurant. I'm sorry, the AI for K-12 website. We have lots of different resources available to support in a myriad of different ways, and this information is updated pretty regularly. And so we have a series of books. We have educational robots, of course. A lot of the information you want to review according to your own needs, according to your own funding. Not all the resources that you will find here are free. Do have to point that out, but many of them are. And so we have for those of us who are currently, depending on where your state is, if you or where your school district is, some school districts have been really proactive in designing frameworks and policies around AI use in the classroom or AI use in education more broadly. Some have, others have not. There are lots of good resources for teachers to be able to come up with their own rules and guidelines and kind of make informed decisions on how informed or how involved or integrated you want to see AI tools to become in your own classroom. And so there are lots of reports, lots of really good information on how to navigate those conversations. There's also dun, 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 curricular materials because there's no reason for us to have to reinvent the wheel. We do have a lot of really good tools and resources available to support you in navigating AI and incorporating AI lessons into your own classrooms. And so, since we are dealing with our middle school students, one of the resources that I will point out here, this exists on the code.org website. Notice that you can find all of the links that are, again, regularly updated because who loves to click a link and get a 404? That's not fun. But we do have a lesson here on AI and machine learning that can be broken down with specific resources that are relevant for students in particular grade bands. Again, to review according to the information that you need for your designated grade band. But these, a lot of the ones that you'll see here today are for middle school, but they are becoming more available for our students in younger grades as well. But they typically start with middle schools and middle grades. We have the Exploring Computer Science curriculum, which is the professional development and curriculum that is being utilized to support the graduation requirement in the Chicago Public School District. ECS curriculum has been useful for that. We do have now the inclusion of an entire alternate curricular unit on artificial intelligence that is available has been for, I want to say, the last 3 years. And so every 3 to 4 years is when ECS does a new update on their curriculum. That resource is available. It is specifically designed for students in grades 9 through 12. But I have seen the ECS curriculum being utilized with students as young as seventh grade, so seventh, eighth through 12th grade. We do have Kibos. That is an option for students in younger grades in early elementary. Again, it would start probably around first grade, first through third, or yeah, first through third grade. We do have a couple links here to different ways to support students in learning using robotics. And so another opportunity to incorporate AI and automation, sensing and organizing. And again, all of these areas are aligned to the 5 big ideas. So yes, lots of resources here for professional development for those of us who are first interested in learning more about AI tools rather than having to dive in and integrate it in our classes. Let me ask my questions first. Let me get a feel for how things are going, and then I'll introduce the materials to my students. No problem with that approach. We do have an online course that is available with ISTE, the International Society for Technology in Education. There we go. But yes, we do have a course that is available here. That is one that is pretty affordable. We also have IBM. This is a free resource that I advocate for teachers who, again, are just wanting to learn more information about AI from a trusted, reputable source, but want to be able to kind of learn at their own pace. This is a good space for that to happen. So we have an intro to AI course, and then it goes on to computational thinking, ethics, robotics, and so yes, and so on. So this is an entire learning pathway. Do call attention to the one on natural language processing and the one on machine learning. Those are, again, yes, do it at your own pace, but those are ones that are specifically tailored. And it is, I think, a really good way to support teachers specifically in understanding the concepts and in being able to go back and explain and teach the concepts to your students. I think that is an important differentiating factor between this and other courses, is that I like that this one specifically is built for teachers and gives a lot of practical information on how to support your students in navigating and understanding the same concepts. So yeah, I will pause here again for any questions. Okay, awesome. Love to hear it. Next up, Teach AI. This is a resource that has been prepared as in collaboration with between code.org and CSTA, the Computer Science Teachers Association. And so there are a series of resources available here. Again, this is, I think, really good for teachers who are still in the process of updating their annual course syllabi, or just looking to have official guidelines or supports around supporting students as they are navigating AI. And so we have a lot of questions. I hear a lot from humanities teachers in particular, as they're saying, well, I don't want my students to use AI at all, because if they are going to start using it, then they're going to tend to over rely on it and depend on it a bit excessively. And then I have to worry about plagiarism concerns and whether or not the writing that they're coming up with is actually their own, or if they're plagiarized. Yeah, like, yikes, 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 yikes. So these are good resources, I think, to provide a bit of guidance to teachers around how to create those frameworks, those structures, in supporting your students more effectively. And so we have a series of toolkits. And so there are good resources here for the use of AI in our schools. As of January of this year, Lots and lots of states have begun to publish guidance around the use of AI in educational settings. However, Illinois is still in the process, so our state is not up here yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. The ESEP, our state's ESEP team, expanding computing education pathways, and is NSF funded, but ESEP Illinois is in the process of working with ISB to formalize actual policies that districts can be able to take back and utilize. In the meantime, in between time, this is, I don't want to brag on this. I have to apologize in advance. Normally, I would never say that Indiana did anything good. I would never want to give Indiana credit for anything. I want that to be very, very clear. However, they do have a couple good resources. I'm so sorry. Couple good resources. This is one of those such resources. This is specifically designed to support folks who are interested in learning more about AI and how to be able to support students specifically in using AI tools. And so we have a resource here on what is AI literacy. We have a few resources that are presented on different curriculum and different there we go. Yes. So you have different resources, both available for educators and for students in navigating AI. So this is, I think, another good space. It's provided by the Indiana Department of Education. So it is coming from a reputable source. But I would definitely recommend for folks to be able to check these out. This here is specific to folks who want to establish policies or frameworks or guidelines, however you want to phrase it, around AI. And so if you are a teacher who is looking to come up with your own rules and guidelines to be able to communicate to students and parents around what AI use is acceptable in your classroom and what is not, I would recommend this as a resource to help you get started. And again, to retrace my steps, this is on the the Teach AI website. Head over to sample guidance under guidance toolkit, view, sample guidance, and the state of Indiana is the one that I most directly advocate for teachers to be able to use in case that is something that you're interested in getting started with. Cool. I will pause again for questions.
I think you're just wowing everybody with all these resources. They don't have any questions at this time.
I am okay with that. I want to make sure that folks have good places to go, especially because, as I mentioned, I feel like we are being inundated with a lot of information on artificial intelligence, and I've heard lots of teachers say that they feel kind of a bit of pressure to either use AI in their classrooms or to support their students in using it, but maybe you don't have enough information to make that decision yet. Maybe you are cautious about it. Maybe you have concerns. That is perfectly realistic and understandable, but I wanted to be able to provide lots of resources. Yeah, exactly. I understand.
Yes,
Yes, have a
yes.
hand raised.
There was a question. Are there any resources that you can provide that are specifically for EL students?
Absolutely. Give me just a second to pull those up now.
And all of these resources are linked in your doc, correct? In your slide deck?
The vast majority of them are, yes.
Because one of the questions was, will you link all these resources?
Yes, 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 yes. Alrighty. So let's pull up. All right, let me share my screen here and get ready to share a few. So yes, This is the toward the end of the slide deck of the link that I shared in the chat earlier. These are different resources that are available for yes, students and teachers specifically of ELs. We have one here that is available both in English and Spanish. It was published by the Ministry of Education in Chile, but I like it because there are very specific and explicit intentional references to resources and tools to support English language learners and their families. That I think is one of the biggest ones that I could share. There's another here that was published a couple years ago by the Department of Education here in the US in their Office of Educational Technology. That is a report. It is a bit lengthy. I'll let you know that now. And so for those of us who are teachers and don't have a ton of time to go through and read a lot of information, skim, that would be good. It is a bit lengthy, but I think it does have a lot of valuable information. These are some of the curricular resources that I've isolated. We have this report here, the 100 practical applications and uses of generative AI. This, I think, is a good place to start if you're looking for tools to share with your students. Many of them do have age requirements. That is something else to be on the lookout for. Not every single AI tool out here is designed for students to use. You do have some like um, let's see, Magic School, and there are a few that are relevant for younger students in younger grades, but there are actual restrictions. So even for Gemini, I believe the age is 18. For ChatGPT, I believe the age is 16. But we do also have to look into the terms of use to be able to identify which of these AI tools are actually appropriate and designed to be used by students. And so this 100 practical applications and uses of, AI, of generative AI is a good place to get started if you're looking for resources to be able to share and to have a brief blurb that says, hey, this is what the resource is, this is what it's for, this is how it's used, and that should be able to help you get started as you're starting to introduce different resources to your students.
Charity, I just want
Yes.
to point out Gemini, if you're using it within your district, using your district account and your district has turned it on, it is able to be used for all ages now. But if you're using your personal account, then you're the under 18.
Thank you very much for that
Yeah, that
clarification.
just happened in August, so.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yes, these here are for those of us who are still a bit skeptical, who have a few reservations about using and integrating AI. These resources are really great to just be really honest and really blunt about the underside of AI. We have ChatGPT is dumber than you think, the 12 risks and dangers of artificial intelligence, and then a really good piece by Brookings on social equity and the AI as the next digital divide in education. This is again just something to remind folks of that we do want to make sure that when it comes to using AI in educational settings, we as educators are legally obligated to comply with certain regulations. And so we're all familiar with FERPA, and we also have COPA, and we also have the IDEA, which has to do with our students who are students with disabilities. We have SEPA and then Section 504 for students who have special needs or require different accessibility or accommodations to be able to use specific online and in-person resources. So lots and lots of information. I hope that I did not inundate you with information, but that it was more valuable than it was overwhelming. Yay.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Charity. I know there's a bunch of people marking things and coming back to it later. And thank you so much. You shared so many great resources. I can see a few people sharing some things in the chat, like school AI and things like that. So people are kind of having some little bit of conversation, but there's no questions because you did a great job sharing all of those resources.
Awesome. That's good to know. Well, thank you all so much for joining. As I said, we are going to end on time. It is 4:29 on the dot. The PDH form for your hours was dropped in the chat. Make sure that you are taking advantage of that. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for all that you do, and we'll hope to see you soon.